anthropogenic impacts are those caused by human activities. The overexploitation of natural resources, habitat modification, conversion and fragmentation, as well as the introduction of alien species and pollution are all factors that have direct or indirect impact on biodiversity. Any of these factors can affect the ecosystem and its ecological process. Desertification is one of those anthropogenic impacts, and that alone costs the global economy some 10 to 17% according to UNCCD, which is about 85.8 trillion US dollars according to the World Bank estimates. Every year, 12 billion hectares of arable land is lost due to drought and desertification. This economic degradation is then correlated for the displacement of 244 million people in 2015, according to UN Environmental Body. So what exactly is desertification? What causes it, and how do we reverse its effects? Desertification became well known in the 1930s when drought and poor farming practices converted areas in the United States Great Plains into the Dust Bowl. But the term was not coined until nearly 1950. Aubreyville, a French scientist, coined the word desertification in 1949 to characterize the spread of desert-like conditions into non-desert areas. By 1994, the United Nations established the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification as the sole legally binding environmental agreement linking environment and development to sustainable land management. In this convention, they legally define desertification as the land degradation in arid, semi-arid, and dry subhumid areas resulting from various factors including climatic variations and human activities.
A sustainable development has been made in the past to keep up with the demands of the continuously growing world population, which apparently led to desertification. Because of overcultivation, the land used in farming is depleted of soil nutrients and organic matter, which increases its susceptibility to erosion. Overgrazing of livestock by farmers causes soil compaction from trampling of animals and an increased wind and water erosion. People migrate to urban areas to meet their needs when their environment has been overexploited of all its resources. As the density of human population increases in cities, the urban land area also continues to expand. This urban expansion drives forest clearance for housing and agriculture. Deforestation is a contributing factor of desertification. The rest of the biome cannot exist without plants. Desertification is also a result of global warming driven by human-induced greenhouse gas emissions, like the burning of fossil fuels and other anthropogenic activities. Climate change may exacerbate desertification through alteration of spatial and temporal patterns in temperature, rainfall, solar radiation, and winds. Extreme flooding causes soil erosion. The water washes away the plants that hold the soil in place during the flood. After the flood, all that is left is barren soil that's severely damaged where plants cannot grow. Extreme drought can have a huge impact on vegetation cover and productivity. The soil becomes bare when plants die because of extreme drought, allowing wind and water to erode it more quickly. Invasive species could also cause desertification. Grazers in particular affect the availability and survivability of plants due to repeated defoliation. Also, vegetative cover will be reduced as invasive drought-tolerant shrub species persist, which affects the structure of that ecosystem.
While some species may adjust to environmental conditions, many others will be unable to do so and face dramatic population decline. Population decline results from desertification, and some species may become endangered or even extinct as a result. This problem is challenging for already endangered species because small number of plants and animals that remain may die out over time, potentially leading to extinction. A case of impact of desertification in wildlife could be observed in the bonner-tailed kangaroo rat or Dipodomys spectabilis. It is one tiny mammal that has suffered from desertification. In desert grassland ecosystem, this species could be a keystone species. In the desert grassland, Dipodomys spectabilis nest mound produce water and nutrient-rich patches. They're also in charge of collecting perennial grass flowering tillers before the seeds are ready, which impacts the seed banks. These species' additional processes and services in desert grassland may contribute to its keystone. It was observed that Hippopotamus spectabilis is absent from most mesquite coppice dune regions and Creosote bush shrublands. This species has been affected by soil loss, and additional soil degradation could lead to its extinction. Impact of desertification to ecosystem. By worsening the living conditions of species, desertification contributes to biodiversity loss, and it significantly influences biodiversity at various levels. Desertification affects local flora and fauna living conditions, making it hard for plants and animals to maintain their population. A case of impact of desertification on ecosystem is evident in the declination of ecosystem services value of Eritrea. Eritrea has also faced a major threat of forest ecosystem loss and degradation in recent decades, resulting in declining ecosystem services. In 1980, 2014, and 2020, research indicates an overall drop in ecosystem services value. Deforestation and desertification reduced the overall ecosystem service value by $1.48 billion throughout the study period, resulting in a drop in woodland and forest land cover of 1,341 km and 1,785 km respectively. There were also changes in the values of the ecosystem's 19 different products and services. Overall, the findings reveal that desertification due to natural and human activities degrades the value of countries' ecosystem services.
Desertification is now widely recognized as a global environmental issue affecting the ecosystem and wildlife. It is a significant problem that we must address by determining the appropriate solution and putting it into action so we can avoid such problems in the future. Solutions to desertification are the following. First is the policy changes to other types of land use. Suppose people use the land to acquire natural resources or develop it for human habitation. In that case, the policies that govern them should help the land thrive rather than further harm it. Education. Education is a critical tool in developing regions for assisting people in learning the best methods to use the land they farm on. More land will be protected from desertification by teaching people sustainable farming practices. Putting together rehabilitation efforts. Some steps can be taken to restore land already driven into desertification. It just requires some time and money. We can prevent the problem by spreading further in the areas already impacted by combining these efforts. Reforestation. Reforestation should be considered in areas that have already been subjected to deforestation. Planting trees in impacted areas prevents desertification and combats other environmental challenges. Last is sustainable practices to prevent desertification from happening. Numerous sustainable practices can address actions that may contribute to desertification. We can prevent turning the entire world into a desert by incorporating these into what we should be doing with the land. In conclusion, desertification, the degradation of dry lands that turns non-desert areas into deserts, has become a major global concern. This occurrence is primarily due to human-induced environmental change, affecting biodiversity at all levels and contributing to the continuous population decline in certain species. To avoid the harmful effects of desertification, we should design strategies for preventing and/or reducing land degradation, as well as rehabilitation and reclamation of partially degraded land.